The shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no recipe for living that suits all cases. Carl Jung. Who the fook is that guy? Conor McGregor stands in the octagon, 25 years old. Just knocked out José Aldo in 13 seconds, the fastest title fight finish in UFC history. And he's screaming at the crowd, chest out, arms wide, the king of the world. This isn't confidence. This is something else. A performance so convincing that even Conor isn't sure where the character ends and the person begins. The notorious Conor McGregor, the trash-talking, suit-wearing, whiskey-drinking icon. The man who changed mixed martial arts forever. Not just with his fists, with his mouth, with his persona. But here's the question. When you build a character to succeed, what happens when you can't turn it off? When the performance becomes more real than the person underneath? When the persona that made you rich and famous becomes a prison you can't escape? In our previous videos, we've explored shadow possession, integration, and persona construction. Elon possessed by his darkness. Mike Tyson learning to integrate it. Andrew Tate weaponizing his character. Joe Rogan operating as cultural trickster. Today, we're looking at the final piece. What happens when your performance is so successful that you forget you're performing? When the mask becomes the face. This is Conor McGregor's story, the last chapter in our Shadow Icons series. And it's a warning about the price of becoming your own creation. Conor McGregor. Born July 1988. Crumlin, Dublin, working-class neighborhood. Father a taxi driver. Mother working whatever jobs she could find. Conor was small, hyperactive. Couldn't sit still in school. Got into fights. Not because he was tough, because he had something to prove. The classic Napoleon complex. Short kid who compensates with aggression. He starts training. Boxing first, then mixed martial arts. And he's good, natural talent, fast hands, left straight like a laser. But talent isn't enough in Dublin. Thousands of kids can fight. What makes you different? At 18, he's working as a plumber's apprentice, 12-hour days, coming home exhausted, training at night, eating whatever he can afford. This is the hunger. The shadow fuel, the part of him that refuses to be ordinary. By 21, he's on welfare, 188 euros every 2 weeks, living with his parents, training full-time but making no money. His girlfriend Dee pregnant. The pressure enormous. This is when the character starts forming, not consciously, not deliberately, but out of necessity. Because when you have nothing, you need something that makes people pay attention. So Conor starts talking, not just predicting he'll win, predicting exactly how he'll win. Round, method, everything. And when he's right, people notice. As we explored in our Shadow Self video, the shadow forms when we reject parts of ourselves to survive. For Conor, the rejected part was doubt, vulnerability, the fear that he'd never escape Crumlin, that he'd be just another kid who tried and failed. So he built a persona that could never doubt, could never fail, could never be weak. The notorious Conor McGregor. And that persona changed everything. 2013. Conor signs with the UFC. He's 24 years old. Nobody knows who he is. Just another European fighter with a big mouth. But the mouth is the point. In his first UFC press conference, he's wearing a three-piece suit. In a sport where everyone wears t-shirts and hats. He's talking about Rolexes and yachts, when he's still on welfare. This is persona construction. Deliberate, strategic. He's not waiting to be rich to act rich. He's acting rich to become rich. Fake it till you make it, taken to the extreme. And the trash talk. Oh, the trash talk. I'd like to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the fook he wants. It's not just confidence, it's theater. Professional wrestling in an MMA cage. In our Andrew Tate video, we talked about weaponizing persona. Tate creates a villain character to get attention. Conor's different. He's not playing a villain, he's playing a king. An Irish working-class kid who refuses to accept his place, and it works. Every fight, more fans. Every press conference, more views. Every prediction that comes true, more believers. By 2015, he's the biggest star in the UFC. Not because he's the best fighter, because he's the best performer. He knocks out José Aldo in 13 seconds. The trash talk had gone on for months, a world tour. Conor in Aldo's face. You'll do fooking nothing. And then, when it matters, 13 seconds. Performance validated. This is the danger moment. When the persona works so well that you start believing it's real. When the character you created to survive becomes the only version of yourself you know how to be. Conor isn't pretending anymore. He is the Notorious. The suit, the walk, the talk. It's not an act. It's who he is now. And that's when things start to get complicated. November 12, 2016. Madison Square Garden, New York. Conor McGregor becomes the first fighter in UFC history to hold 2 championship belts simultaneously, featherweight and lightweight. He stands in the octagon holding both belts. King of the world, 28 years old. The kid from Crumlin on welfare is now the biggest star in combat sports. I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The persona is at maximum power. Everything he said would happen, happened. The predictions, the knockouts, the belts. Reality bent to match the performance. Then comes the Floyd-Mayweather fight. August 26, 2017. Conor, an MMA fighter, boxes the greatest boxer of a generation. He loses, obviously, but he makes $100 million doing it. The Notorious character is now worth more than the fighter, the performance more valuable than the skill. He can lose and still win. Because people aren't paying to watch Conor fight. They're paying to watch Conor perform. He launches Proper 12 Irish whiskey, not because he's a whiskey expert, because the Notorious drinks whiskey. The character has a beverage line. This is persona at its most successful. It's making money, creating opportunities, opening doors, everything the Shadow wanted, everything the hungry kid from Dublin dreamed about. But here's what Carl Jung understood. The persona is a tool. It's supposed to serve you, help you navigate the world. Protect your authentic self while you do what you need to do. The danger is when the persona becomes more real than the self, when you can't take off the mask because you've forgotten there's a face underneath. And for Conor, that's exactly what's starting to happen. October the 6th, 2018, Las Vegas. Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. The trash talk before this fight crossed lines. Conor called Khabib's manager a terrorist, mocked his religion, attacked a bus Khabib was on, injuring other fighters. The persona wasn't just confident anymore. It was out of control. Khabib dominates the fight. 4th round submission, and after, chaos. Khabib jumps out of the cage to fight Conor's team. Conor gets into a brawl with Khabib's team inside the cage. It's not theater anymore. It's real violence, real consequences. This is the moment. The persona that worked for so long, that made him rich and famous, it failed. And Conor can't process it. Because if the Notorious can lose, if the character can be beaten, then what? He tries to come back. Fights Dustin Poirier, loses, badly, breaks his leg in the rematch. The trash talk continues, but now it sounds desperate, not confident. Desperate. And outside the octagon, things get worse. April 2018, Miami. Conor smashes a fan's phone, arrested. July 2019, Dublin. Conor punches an old man in a pub, over whiskey, his own brand of whiskey. The character he created doing real-world damage. In our Kanye West video, we talked about shadow possession. When the darkness drives and you just tell yourself you're choosing. This is different. Conor's not possessed by his shadow. He's possessed by his persona. The character he built is now the only way he knows how to be. Every interaction becomes a performance. Every conversation a press conference. He can't turn it off, can't be normal, can't be the person he was before the Notorious took over. His longtime coach, John Kavanagh, says it plainly. I don't know if he can separate Conor from the Notorious anymore. This is the trap. The thing Andrew Tate sells. The thing Heath Ledger died from. The thing Johnny Depp is trying to escape. When you build a character so successfully that you forget you're performing. When the persona becomes the only version of you that exists. So, who is Conor McGregor? Not the Notorious, the actual person underneath. We see glimpses with his partner D, his kids, moments where the performance drops, where he's just a dad, just a guy from Dublin, quiet, present, human. But those moments are rare, and getting rarer, because the Notorious sells whiskey, gets attention, makes money, opens doors. Why would you turn off a character that works so well? The problem is, the character was created for a specific purpose. To survive, to escape poverty, to win fights, to get attention. And it worked, brilliantly. But you can't live in survival mode forever. The persona that helps you climb isn't the same persona that helps you stay at the top. And it definitely isn't the persona that helps you find peace. Mike Tyson learned this. He spent decades being the baddest man on the planet, and it almost killed him. It was only when he let go of the character, when he allowed himself to be vulnerable, that he found peace. In our Mike Tyson video, we saw shadow integration, facing the darkness, accepting it, transforming it. Tyson did the work. Conor hasn't. Maybe he can't. Maybe the Notorious is too valuable, too embedded, too much a part of his identity to separate. Or maybe he's afraid that without the character, he's just Conor from Crumlin. And Conor from Crumlin wasn't enough. That's why he created the Notorious in the first place. Carl Jung talked about this. The ego identifying with the persona. When you forget the mask is a mask. When you believe you are the character you're playing. And the cruel part, the world rewards this. Conor makes more money as the Notorious than he ever would as just Conor. The fans want the character. The media wants the performance. Nobody's asking him to be real. They're asking him to be the Notorious. So he stays in character, because being real doesn't pay. Being vulnerable doesn't sell whiskey. Being authentic doesn't fill arenas. And slowly, the person underneath disappears. So what do we learn from Conor McGregor? First, the persona is a tool, not an identity. You create a character to navigate the world, to succeed, to survive. But if you forget it's a character, it consumes you. Second, success can trap you. Conor's persona worked so well that he can't afford to let it go. Literally. The character makes too much money, opens too many doors. And when your livelihood depends on the performance, how do you stop performing? Third, the persona you create to climb isn't the persona you need to live. What works in survival mode destroys you in peace. The confidence that wins fights becomes arrogance that pushes people away. The trash talk that builds hype becomes the inability to have real conversations. As we explored through this entire Shadow Icons series, there are different ways to relate to your darkness, your shadow, your persona. Elon Musk is possessed by his. Still tweeting, still sabotaging, still driven by unconscious patterns. Mike Tyson integrated his, faced it, accepted it, transformed it into wisdom. Kanye West can't separate genius from madness. His gift and his curse are the same thing. Andrew Tate weaponized his, deliberately created a villain to sell a product. Joe Rogan operates as trickster, asking questions, creating space, refusing to be captured. And Conor McGregor, he created a character so successfully that he became it. The Notorious isn't a performance anymore. It's who he is, and he doesn't know if there's a Conor underneath, or if there ever was. The lesson isn't that you shouldn't create a persona. The lesson is that you have to remember it's a persona, that you're the one wearing the mask, not the mask wearing you. Your life probably doesn't look like Conor's. You're not a UFC champion. You're not worth hundreds of millions. You're not famous. But you have personas too. The professional you at work, the confident you on dates, the tough you when you're scared, the successful you on social media. And the question is the same. Are you using the persona? Or is the persona using you? Can you take off the mask at the end of the day? Or have you forgotten what your face looks like? Conor's still in the cage, still performing, still the Notorious, whether he's fighting or not. Mike Tyson got out, found peace, learned to be vulnerable. The difference? Integration, making the unconscious conscious, knowing when you're performing and choosing to stop. Conor hasn't chosen to stop. Maybe he can't. Maybe the character is too valuable, too embedded, too profitable to abandon. Or maybe, like all of us, he's just scared. Scared that without the persona, he's not enough. But here's what Mike Tyson learned, what Heath Ledger never got the chance to learn, what Lady Gaga figured out and Miley Cyrus is still figuring out. The persona can help you survive, but only your authentic self can help you live. So the question for you is, who are you when nobody's watching? When the performance is over? When the character you've built to impress the world is finally quiet? Are you still there? Or did the persona take over completely? Conor's still figuring it out, and so are we all. If you want to understand the relationship between performance, persona, and authentic self, I recommend a few books. Man and His Symbols by Carl Jung is the foundation. How the persona forms. Why we create masks. When the mask becomes a trap. Ego is the enemy. By Ryan Holiday is about exactly this. How success can destroy you. How the character you create to win can become the thing that makes you lose. Essential for understanding Conor's story. The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield is about resistance and the inner battle every performer faces. The difference between the work and the persona around the work. The Inner Game of Tennis by Timothy Galway isn't about tennis. It's about performance psychology, the relationship between self-one and self-two, the performer and the authentic person, directly relevant. Mastery by Robert Greene is about the path to excellence, but also the dangers of ambition, how the drive to be great can consume the person trying to be great. All links are in the description. Some are affiliate links, which means if you buy through them, it supports this channel at no extra cost to you. I only recommend books I've read and believe are valuable. If you don't have time to read full books, I use Blinkist for 15-minute summaries. Audible is also great for audiobooks. Links to both in the description. If Conor McGregor's story resonated with you, let me know in the comments. Do you have personas you can't turn off? Performances you're tired of giving? Characters you've created that now control you? And if you found this valuable, hit the like button. It helps more people find these videos. Subscribe for weekly deep dives into psychology, shadow work, and the patterns that run our lives. New videos every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. This concludes our Shadow Icons series. 6 modern figures. 6 different relationships with the shadow and persona. 6 lessons about what it means to be human in the age of performance. Next week, we start a new series, Performance and Persona, exploring artists, actors, and musicians who've struggled with the same question. Who am I when the show is over? First up, Lana Del Rey, the tragic romantic, the woman who turned sadness into art, and the question of whether she's playing a character or trapped by one. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.